Every single day in my YouTube comments and in my coaching core Discord, people ask me, how do I place in solos if I can't fight, if I'm not good enough to win 1v1s versus other players, especially as you get into the high elo lobbies? Well, that's exactly what I set out to prove in my most recent cup. I decided to not take a single early or mid game fight at all. Instead, I focused on having really good rotates, really good positioning, and perfecting my end games and seeing if I could actually qualify and place inside the top 1000 to earn the free Hacks of Champions skin without taking a single engagement during the mid game. And that's exactly what ended up happening. I've been breaking down a full game plan for you guys who suck at solos and you suck at fighting for exactly how to place consistently following these really simple 12 steps that I've outlined today. So let's go straight into this with step number 1, which is of course Offspawn. All right guys, step number 1 for placing in solos, and this is so important, is to scout out, get loads of information as you drop into your Offspawn, as well as even as you land, make sure to have another little look around and make sure there's nobody contesting you. And this is really, really important when you're choosing your drop spot to begin with, is make sure that you figure out a spot that equals your skill level. Don't start landing at, OXR HQ or landing at the Hive if you're not really comfortable at fighting. It's just not going to be a fun time and you're always going to be running out shambles because you're getting packed in by somebody. Instead, do what I do, is I have 2 different drop spots depending on what type of bus I've got, and then I make sure as I drop in, I'm always going to be uncontested and I never really have to fight too many people off spawn because the drop spot I'm choosing isn't super popular, as well as it is not crazily busy with people that are good at fighting. That already gives me a massive advantage in consistently getting to end game and having good point games. Now the next thing with off spawn is after you scout it out, you figure out where people are landing around you, you should know a really efficient path. Not just efficient in terms of looting up, but also farming up your mats, especially your metal, as quick as possible, which is exactly what I'm doing here. I'm prioritizing getting my metal up straight away. I'm already about 350 before first zone's even closed in, and this allows me to have such a big advantage over basically everybody else in the lobby, is I now, if I get W keyed, can play so many boxes, as well as I'm going to focus on getting to a good position, which we'll talk about in a second. So as you can see, I get myself up to cap mats. I'm literally 555 and first zone hasn't even got done closing in. Basically nobody in this lobby has as many mats as me, and I'm immediately starting to focus on second zone and planning my rotates accordingly. All right, now for mid games, guys, this is genuinely the easiest way to have consistent mid games and to not get griefed by fighting, is as soon as second zone shows up, which is this zone right here. So first is fully closed in, second zone has showed up. You should already have cap materials and you should be ready for this zone to pop. What you're going to do is a really, really simple calculation, and this works, really, really well, is basically just imagine a line cutting through the zone like this, as well as imagine a line cutting through the zone just like that. What you're going to do is basically think, where is the zone closing in the most? Where is it shrinking in the most on these backsides, just like here? And what you're going to do is try to get yourself into this sort of rough circle right here, and I guarantee you 9 times out of 10 that is going to be where the end game ends up. And what you're going to do is you're either going to sit in a building, you're going to sit in a bush, or you're going to go ahead and camp somewhere, hide somewhere and basically wait for end game and avoid fights. And you're going to try to do this straight away. So I literally, as soon as I get done looting up and I see the zone, is I book it and I end up like straight over here. And if I skip forward a second, you're going to see exactly what I mean. And this works so reliably. So as you can see, zone is closing in. I've spotted where the zone's going to go. If I skip forward a little bit, I guarantee you it's going to end up exactly where I drew that circle, just like that. And that tells you where you need to be ahead of time. So you're going to have cap materials as well as a really strong position every single game without fail. And also you're going to avoid getting W keyed as much as possible. You are still unfortunately going to get W keyed at some point in time in a cup. So let's take a look at 2 fighting examples to how you can never lose those fights. Guys, I'm very happy to announce that we just launched the Masterclass Academy and the first session is happening literally tonight. You're going to be getting 4 weekly coaching sessions from myself, tier 1 pros, other tier 1 coaches, and of course live tournament prep, exclusive masterclass videos, and a load of really good bonuses when you sign up. And the best part is it's only $9 a month. The full focus of this is getting yourself in the best position possible to qualify for the solo series and make the highest duo division possible, and it's really going to be heavily comp focused. You get access to one of the best communities in Fortnite. You can find a duo easily, you can ask questions, you can get direct feedback, and of course you get a load of extra bonuses when you sign up as well. And again, it's only $9 and the first session is starting tonight, so make sure to click the link down below and sign up and secure your spot. The thing is with Fortnite is you need to learn how to play defensively, because at some point in time you're going to be rotating and you're going to get absolutely beamed by your opponent. And what you should do is exactly what I do right here, and this basically makes it impossible for your opponent to quick end the fight and allows time for a third party to come over and try to help you out. So what do? I build 3 boxes all connected in a little L shape right here. This is a really strong structure and only uses around 200 brick. And I instantly look for a little bit of damage on return on the opponent. It does get me hit in return right here. A little bit of damage lets the opponent know that I'm not terrible at the game and I actually have some fingers. Don't just passively set up and try to heal. Try to look for some counter damage. Then as soon as I get that counter damage, I go out to my left. This gives me a sort of right and peek if he was to fight over this way. And I make even more space and I make a load of extra boxes. Now at this point in time, the fighting has drawn over this other player who is completely stacked. He's got the mythic, he's got the slurp, and he gets straight into my box. But watch what I do. I don't take any risks, I don't edit, and I continue to make even more space, make a 2x1, and what do? Crouch. This is your #1 tool if you can't fight. You want to attract a third party and you want to crouch. And the reason why you're crouching right here and rather than healing up while standing is it gives you a little bit of time for your builds to now heal up. So now, as you can see from the opponent's POV, they can't really see where I am through those builds, and I'm going to be able to get all of my big pots off and get myself back up to a fighting HP where I can potentially try to disengage, or at least I can survive. Now, unfortunately for me, the mythic player that was keying right above my head instantly wiped the other person that was trying to fight me, and now I'm left in this awkward spot where he is going to be trying to key me as well. But the really nice benefit that I have, because I built metal and I've sat in these boxes and not just panicking, is now all of my walls are full HP. I continue to crouch, making it awkward to figure out where I am, and I start playing defensively from distance, as you can see right here. A little bit of chip damage, shoot the opponent to let him know I'm not terrible, try to reclaim some space that he actually had on me, as you can see. And even though he gets a little bit of damage in return, he is sort of forced at this point to think about, oh, okay, this guy's not terrible. Look how awkward I've made this fight for him. Like, I'm sitting down here and all of these builds that are all mine. It's gonna be very awkward for him to kill me. And even though he is, full W key, he's got 10 kills, he decides to dip out of the fight just because I'm playing defensively correctly. And that allows me to get restacked as well as to not waste an entire game getting W keyed. Now, later on in the game, I get keyed by the exact same player. That Flobby FV guy, he has now got 15 kills, as you can see, right? He's absolutely fragging, and he's got the mythic or the exotic pump as well. So he's going to be very hard to keep. The first thing I do is, once again, is I make some space. I've already got all the space made so I can play defensively from it. And the only time I actually edit on this guy during this fight is right here. Right hand window, he's got his pickaxe out. Absolutely easy shot for me to hit him 100. Unfortunately for me, he jumps straight in and hits me 120 on a left hand peak. So what do I do now that I'm low HP and he continues to aggress me because he's got the siphon coin? What do? Is I do this really simple trick, guys. I layer up and then I'm going to go ahead and layer down. Literally, rather than just building space wide, layer up and again layer down, just like that. Allows me to get my heals off, my slurp off. He continues to fight me, layer down, layer up, makes it so awkward for him to actually aggress me. And now by the time he actually gets on my wall and starts fighting me, he realizes there's absolutely no chance of him ending the fight, and once again he disengages, runs away from me, and I'm able to play this end game out and get around 40 or 50 points. All right, now heading back to some really important things for going into end game, and this is genuinely one of the most important bits of advice I can give you guys for placing in solos, is think, what is the worst case situation that could potentially happen and how can you prevent it? So right here, I'm boxed up trying to go for some surge tags because I'm apparently, in a World Cup final. There's 72 alive 4th zone right here in the last game of the Skin Cup. And what am I doing to prevent the worst case scenario, which is probably somebody fizz crashing or just launching onto my head, is I boxed all around me. I've wasted loads of brick, I've refarmed obviously, and I've boxed all around to prevent the worst case thing happening, which is so important. Then as I've got my surge tags and I'm, completely chilling for the rest of this game on damage, what do? I make sure to refarm while it is available. This is so important for solo success, is making sure you're keeping your mats during the early mid game as strong as possible. So you get cap mats nice and early and you try to maintain those cap mats throughout the entirety of mid game. And then of course that allows you to delay going for a refresh. This particular game, I didn't get a refresh, or didn't try to go for a refresh until top 10 because of how good my mid game was. Right there, even more precautions, checking the bush, making sure I'm not going to get beamed or snuck on from the side. And again, keeping my mats really strong. It's so simple. Just avoid really big downsides, like, getting jumped on, getting keyed, and keep your materials as strong as possible will help you have much better solo placements, guys. Even here, as I'm farming a tree, I'm like triple checking around me, making sure there's nobody coming up behind. Allows me to get cap mats, and again, even more space that I'm making. I'm like full tarp into a tree right here, making sure I'm as stacked as possible at all points in time. I'm getting as much info as possible for my next rotate. All right, now at this point in the game, you're going to be into the partial zones, and this is where it is really important that you do the following steps. First of all, keep on trying to refarm as much as possible, but do it safely, because obviously there's a lot more people. There's currently 67 people in this tiny circle right here, so you need to be safe while refarming, which is exactly what I do. And I get back a bunch of my materials. By the end of this rotate, I actually ended up with more mats than when I started with, just because I'm trying to refarm along the way. The second thing after you refarm is scout, get info, and try to figure out where you're going to crash pad safely from. And try to do it, obviously fizz crash pad. The zone is super far, and that's exactly what I'm going to do here. But on extra box worth of space, so now my crash pad should be a little bit better, and I'm trying to figure out what timing I should go. And if you're ever super unsure about the timing, you don't hear people crash padding, you don't see people in front of you going, the best thing to do is just wait and go super last second, which is what I'm going to do here. I literally wait for zone to start kicking me out of my box, and then I'm going to crash pad completely for free. Nobody's looking at me, and I do a nice little rotate under the little ravine right here. However, I don't do the whole rotate in one go, as you guys can see. I break it up into 2 parts, which is what we talked about in the last video on getting the free skins. Always break up your rotates into 2 parts if possible. It makes you have a much more success and have better rotates. As you can see, I've now got more materials than I started with. Accidentally throw a crash pad because the game was super laggy and I was trying to place the floor. And then what do? Edit my cone so it breaks, do my 2x1 crash pad, go flying. Do not risk going for loot. I mean, that's quite tempting to go for, but that's just going to get me killed because I wouldn't actually be in zone like that. Instead, I've marked where I want to go to, so I have an idea roughly of where I'm trying to get to. And I also bunny hop straight into another crash pad. So don't pause. I bunny hop straight into a crash pad. As soon as I land, I slide, bunny hop, and build metal. The reason I'm building metal here is because we're getting much later into the game. I don't want to be sitting in brick. That's easier for somebody to fight me. As well as the thing is with metal, later on in the game, it's really hard to see through. So you can basically lurk in it, try to go from a kill from the metal, whereas in brick and wood, it's much harder to do that. Now, at this point in the game, you should start thinking about how you can find a refresh. And the biggest mistake that people make with finding a refresh is thinking they need to kill somebody for a refresh. And that couldn't be farther from the truth. What you should do instead is think about how can you team up with the lobby or potentially find a fight where people are, fighting, and then be able to grab the loot yourself. So you're not taking any risks except just building over to a loot pile and trying to get it. So how do you actually find these opportunities? First of all, you need to position well, and you need to be in a good box position like I'm here. I'm just outside the zone. Basically 50 people are going to be rotating past me, and out of those 50 people, someone is going to give me a refresh opportunity that I can go for. So I'm not rotating early. Instead, I'm going to use this timing window to find a refresh. And the reason I'm finding a refresh here is because everything's lined up. I pulled a pretty good zone. I'm going to have an easy rotate right here, as well as, most crucially, I need some more crash pads before we get into the end game. So if I can find a body or find a kill, I'll be able to get stacked crash pads, and that's going to make my life 10 times easier later on. So what do I do to find this kill? I spend the entire time scouting, looking for info, and I spot an opportunity right here. I spot 2 players were fighting on the rotate. They both did the same timing on the rotate, so they ended up in the same box, and one of them was low. And what do? I spray his back wall. That causes him to turn around and face me to hold the spam, and just like that, somebody's going to spray his back and he's going to die. As soon as I spot that he dies here, it's not about the kill points, it literally does not matter at this point. As soon as I spot he dies, I swap to metal, right, as you can see, swap to metal, and I full tarp over and I claim the loot, as you can see. Somebody starts smacking on my wall. What do? Try to fight them off it. Make sure to replace the wall as well so it's fuller HP. I get a new fizz, I get 3 more crashes, and I completely stack up my bigs. So now I'm absolutely chilling. And I didn't get the kill right there. All I did was spray somebody, help the lobby spray them as well, and I went and claimed the loot. I was just looking for the correct opportunity. Now I'm going to have a very, very easy time rotating. I grab the new fizz, throw my crash pad back in the box, and I'll do exactly what I did before. I do a far crash pad into the dead side of zone, as you can see right here. I go flying over his head, little bunny hop, another little bunny hop right here to get in, box up, only took 15 damage, and I'm in the best spot in the lobby. I'm literally completely on dead side. I'm not going to risk refarming because that's a little bit greedy. Instead, I'm just going to wait for the next zone, and that one refresh has basically set me up for the rest of the game. Now, as the next zone pulls, unfortunately for me, it goes absolutely max. So what do? Exactly like earlier, I build another box, so I'm going to have an easier crash pad, try to refarm my mats a little bit to make sure there's nobody in the bush, and I also just get information. I make sure there's nobody behind me. Nobody's going to be trying to grief me or sneak on me or whatever, and I know I'm completely fine, except there's one problem, and there's normally going to be one problem on your rotates, is there's somebody ahead of you. If you were to crash pad first, they were to shoot you out. If you were to crash pad late, they could maybe beam you as well. So you need to be very, very careful about this one person. So what do? I edit a window and I just spray him and I let him know that I want to rotate, and he basically gets panicked and starts instantly rotating. I'm not going to sit here and try griefing him and beam him out the air. Instead, what I'm going to do is fizz and go try to steal his crash pad. He's pretty smart though, shoots out his own crash. So what do? Tap fizz, just like before. Always try to recycle crash pads if you see them on the floor, and it's quite free to do. Use my wood box set up for my crash pad, and I'm going to start rotating, and I spot a really nice another refresh opportunity, just like earlier. Not a refresh of a loot, right? Or, you know, like a mats. Instead, it's a refresh for crash pads. There's a B crate that just spawned in down here. Probably this guy's B crate. He's not aware of it. And what am I going to go do? I'm going to go box on it in metal, just like before, making sure nobody's fighting me. Really, really nicely how I get crash pads and an AR upgrade, so I have a little bit better AR. And I continue to focus on my own rotate. The issue is whenever you do a play like this is you end up a little bit scuffed on the next sort of rotate, because now my timings are a little bit off. So you need to be very, very cautious that you don't do, you know, a bad rotate right here. I don't want to rotate in and start tarping. Instead, all I do is do a slightly risky crash pad out the side, build a load as I land in metal, as you can see here, and I don't heal up straight away. Instead, I hold my shotgun out. This guy starts spraying me, a little bit of chip damage in return, stop him spraying me, as well as now, once my builds are fully healed up, I'm gonna heal, and we're basically into moving zones. 1,000 materials, I've still got 4 crashes, and I've still got really good heals. If I had to bet, I'd be probably one of the most stat players in this lobby. As you can see, I've got one of the most materials, as well as I've done it without getting a single kill, which is the whole point of this video. All right, now as we go into moving zones right here, one thing that I always like to do as you get into moving zones, and I recommend you guys do this as well, is just simply put a marker down where you want to get to. Don't just mark the very, very edge of zone, because the marker itself is going to sort of grief where you can see. Mark a little bit deeper into zone. That's going to allow you much freer rotates for the next zone as well. Then once you've marked right there, figure out any types of terrain that might be affecting your rotate, and also figure out if there's any players that might be affecting your rotate as well. So as you can see right here, I'm trying to do this. I spot this massive ridge in front of me. That's going to make it very, very challenging to rotate. And I also spot that zone is playing, you know, into a pretty difficult terrain area. There's lots of low ground, you know, scuffed spots like ridges and stuff like that, as well as a building in the way. So I don't want to be playing low ground in this end game. And I'm pretty sure you normally never want to be playing low ground in these early movings. So what I do, one little crash pad to get towards front side, pause as soon as I box up. Just like earlier, I'm being precautious and I'm going to check the bush, spot this guy through the bush a little bit to make sure he's not griefing me. And I'm going to break my rotate up into multiple different parts. First part was that initial one to get up above and get a nice crash pad going. So from here to here. Second part is going to be a nice open top fizz crash pad. I do it with a cone, so I'm not going to go straight up in the air, and I'm going to get to the edge of zone. And why would you ever want to be on the edge of moving zones? Well, simply, I don't have to worry about anybody being over this side of zone. I mean, there's one player right here, but they're not going to aggro my wall in storm. So I basically only have to worry about over here, as well as players under me. And because I'm playing a high layer, I don't have to worry about anybody being on my head, which is really nice. I'm basically just eliminating things that I need to worry about, and instead I can focus on having a good second part of this rotate. Now for the second part of this rotate, because I've already used 2 crash pads on first moving, what I'm going to do instead is stick to that edge of zone that I was playing earlier, and instead just do a nice and simple fizz run rotate. The reason why this is so strong is, as you can see, most players are just barely getting into the end of the zone. There's still tons of players that are rotating in, and the guys that are rotating in, especially, you know, these guys down on low ground at backside here, they're going to be drawing the attention from the players that are just boxed up in zone. So what do? I stick completely to the edge of zone, like I'm actually hugging the edge of zone right here. I'm sticking to a high layer just as before. I'm able to rotate in completely for free. I don't box up on that layer I chose. Instead, I go up 1 layer just like that, and I hold my pump as well as my builds out, looking for a potential kill opportunity right here. The thing is, because of how good my mid games, as well as, you know, how good I've been up getting refreshes, I don't actually need to force a kill. Instead, I can just focus on potentially going for an early rotate onto the next zone, and that's exactly what I do. Zone is pulling far. I wait for storm to catch me, and I'm going to try do a nice little wide edit like this, play high layer just like before. Again, literally so simple, guys. I'm just sticking to the edge of zone. Look, you can't see me on the map, but I'm literally the only player on this bottom sort of quarter of zone. There's actually nobody next to me, and that makes all of your rotates so easy, and genuinely so much better as well. Again, very, very simple, nice little crash pad. And at this point in time, I start looking for a refresh, so I go a little bit more central into zone. I don't go dead center of zone, but I go a little bit more central, and also put myself in a situation where now I've got a 2x1 and I can start going for a kill on players below me. Exact same thing, wasn't able to find a kill right there, so I continue to rotate, build another 2x1, and continue to look for a refresh opportunity, since now we're running pretty low on builds. The key thing is though, even if I don't find a kill right here, which unfortunately I wasn't able to, I've still secured myself like 30 points in this really stacked game without taking a single fight, just from having good rotates and good positioning. Now, as next zone pulls, I decide to tank on the backside right here, so I only go out as storm hits me. I run around the edge of zone just like before. This whole end game I've been sticking to the right side of zone, and I put myself on a high layer to try heal up and try to find this final kill. At this point in time, I make the tactical choice to try to fully heal my shield as much as possible, while while tanking whites. The reason for this is because, of course, the fizz, it heals the same much as the whites would be detracting from me, but also if I get a kill, I'm going to get siphon, I'm going to get my white straight topped up. So I'd rather be full shield at this point in time, since I'm going to be jumping in trying to find a kill. What I do when trying to find this kill is I go straight down to low ground, get into somebody's old box right here, and I continue to heal up as much as possible. A little bit risky to heal up at this point in the game, but I knew if I healed up to full, I'd be much more likely to win this aim duel at the end. And I spotted it. I saw somebody, you know, popping and opening a crate right here. Unfortunately for me, I completely missed my pump and only hit 60, and this guy hit 2 nice shots in a row and took me out. However, if I got that kill right there, I'd have a very, very free rotate in on low ground. Like, this whole low ground was completely for free. I'd also have like 300 materials. So it's just a risk that I had to take as I got into top 10. I'd already secured 40 points just from how well I played this game, just from placement. And unfortunately, you're not always going to get the refreshes, and you're not always going to be able to survive after you get those kills. Like, I could have easily just died exactly the same way as I left this box. The key thing is though, if you do that consistently enough, you will place really high in solos just because of how much better your rotates will be than other players.